with our true self. So we'll start to change into that extended exhale now. So we'll use a number count with your breath. So on your next inhale, count in your mind to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. As you exhale, try your best to double that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then see if you can do about 5 to 6 more breaths. Just working with that number count. It's okay if your numbers are a little bit different. Really, the idea is just to let your exhale be a little bit longer than the inhale. And what that is doing is helping relax your nervous system. Just eliciting that nice calm and relaxing feeling throughout your entire body. And take one more breath in and out here. And on your next exhale, you can let your arms come down by your sides if they're not already. If you have your legs against the wall or on a chair, you can pull your knees back in towards your chest. If you're in any other position, we want to bring the soles of the feet to the floor. Have the knees over the ankles. We're going to get ourselves set up for bridge pose to start us off this morning. So a couple things I want you to be mindful of for bridge are to really press your shoulders down into the mat behind you slightly. You'll notice how that helps open up through the front of the body and the chest. Also, you might want to lengthen through your chin. So if your chin's tucked in towards your chest, it's going to make it really hard for you to be able to breathe. So you want to lift your chin away from the chest slightly. Feel how that lengthens through the airway. After that, we're going to engage our core, pressing the lower back towards the mat just slightly. Feel that engagement. And then when you're ready, scoop and press your hips up to whatever height you can go to. Subtle squeezing in of the glutes and the thighs while keeping the knees stacked over the ankles. Go ahead and take a deep breath in here. And a nice deep breath out. Allowing the hips to come all the way back down to the mat when you're ready. So we're going to do that a few times just to build up our strength and stability. So again, engage your core, press the shoulders down into the mat, scoop and press your hips up, take a deep breath in. And deep breath out, let the hips come back down. Do a few more of those, just trying to go at your own pace, moving with your breath, keeping those alignment cues in mind. Good job. One more time, up and down. Next time that your hips lower down, we're going to go ahead and lift the arms up, reaching them alongside your ears, up and overhead. See how far you can reach. And then scoop your hips back up when you're ready, letting the arms relax back down beside you. And then continue, do about 5 or 6 more of those. And just trying to be mindful, moving with intention, moving with your breath. And next time your arms come down by your sides, you may release your hips all the way back down to the floor. Take your knees from right to left a couple times, windshield wipering them back and forth. And knees can start to make their way back to center. And this is where you're going to need to grab your yoga block. You just need one of them. Just bring it so it's close beside you. We're going to be moving into a more supportive or restorative version of bridge now. If for any reason you don't have a block, you could use a book or even a blanket for underneath the back. So same thing as we did before. In bridge, we're going to press the shoulders down or engage the core, press the hips up just high enough that you can slide that block underneath your back. And it should be supported underneath your pelvis, the SI joint, and the tailbone will kind of just hang right off the edge. And you may even feel when you rest the lower back down on that support, I always notice my back will crack a little bit. And some people are alarmed by that, but that's actually sometimes the joint, the SI joint itself, resetting if it was out of alignment. So while we're here, relax your arms back down by your sides. Again, pressing the shoulders down into the mat, letting the heart, letting the chest open up. And we'll take about 5 deep breaths while we're here. So when you're ready, inhale, see if you can, again, do that number count to 4. And then on your exhale, see if you can go to 8. I'm going to do that a few more times. Inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Okay, just keep focusing on the breath. And you may let your breath just come back to a more natural rhythm at this time. We'll begin now on your next inhale to lift your right foot up. And if your hips are tight, that leg is not going to want to come directly in towards your chest. So my recommendation is just to take it around a couple times, just circling it, kind of massaging the hip around in the socket, and that will encourage it to loosen up a little bit more. If you need support, just keep your hand on the leg and let it be a guide. And make sure you do go both directions with that circle. And then once you feel like it's loosened up a little bit for you, you can see if it's accessible for you to either reach around the back of the thigh or the front of the shin. If the arms can't reach, you could have your strap here to help pull the knee in a little bit more or pull the thigh in more. And we're going to hold for about 30 seconds again. Your left leg could stay bent, especially if you feel like that's helping support the lower back if it's a little sore. Or if you want to lengthen through the front of that left hip, your hip flexor, you could try extending your left leg out, maybe bringing the heel down to the floor. You can still keep a little bend in the knees. See how mine is still bent here. But that's going to help open up through the front of the hip. Let's take a few deep breaths. Inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Then inhale 4. Exhale 8. Do 2 more on your own. Your next exhale, letting that right foot release, gradually bringing it back down to the mat. After the foot plants, you can bring the left foot back to the floor again. Before we do the other side, I just want you to take a moment to notice if you feel any difference between the 2 hips, how they're sitting on the block, anything like that. And then we will do the opposite side. So let's bring left knee in. Again, it might be a little tight at first. If you want to circle it around a little bit, go ahead. Just explore what feels good to your own body. And if you are circling around, go both directions with your circle. Okay, you may work that knee back to center if you are circling. Find your grip along the knee or the thigh here, or use a strap. You want to extend your right leg out, you could try that, see how it feels. And we'll take a few rounds of breath. Inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Okay, take a few more on your own. Your next exhale, you may release that left foot back down when you're ready. Plant it on the ground. Right foot can come back to the floor if it was extended out. And just take a moment to notice, do the hips feel a little different, a little looser now? So next, we're going to do both legs. So this time, you can pull both knees in towards the chest. Maybe you need to adjust your block. If you need to, you could scoot the hips down a little bit so it feels more supportive. Hands could come around the backs of the thighs. You could start to stretch the legs up towards the ceiling a little bit. Maybe you want to play around with your feet. Just have fun. Just point and flex. Maybe make some different shapes. Maybe make a V. Maybe do some different little movements up and down. Just have fun. Some ankle circles if you want. We're helping the blood flow also get back up to the heart here. It's not having to work so hard to pump blood all the way down to the legs. I don't know about y'all, but my feet are always cold. So doing something like this helps me feel more restored. Gets my circulation going a little bit. And when you're ready, we're going to bend those knees back in towards the chest again. You can let your feet come back down to the floor. And then from here, when you're ready, gently press your hips up away from the block. Slide it out from underneath you. You can move it out of the way. Let your hips settle back down to the floor. Your back may feel like, oh, it's lifted really high off the floor now. It feels strange. So again, you might just want to bring those knees from side to side a couple of times, just to resettle into this new position again. And then bringing knees back to center. Now is when I'll ask you to grab your yoga strap. So reach over, grab your strap or belt, whatever it is that you have available. And depending on what kind of strap you're using, if it's one of these cloth straps, I usually recommend just using the middle of the strap. But you could also make a loop and hold on just to one end if you prefer. But for me, usually I'll take the middle of the strap, just bring it right below the base of the toes, right above the arch of the foot. Whatever side you want to do, I'm doing my right leg first. I sometimes will just wrap the strap around my hand once just to give me a little bit more of a grip. Let the shoulders relax down into the mat behind you. And you can keep as much of a bend in your knee as you need to while you're here. Your left leg could stay where it is if it's bent. That's going to help support the back. Or if you feel comfortable extending the leg, you could try that, but that's going to put more pressure on your back. So be mindful of it. So with this right leg up and overhead, play around with the feet a little bit more. Do a few more of those kind of pointing and flexing back and forth. Our intention now is going to be for the hamstring, the inner and outer hip. We'll work on the IT band and all of that good stuff as well. So from here, on your next exhale, you can transition to hold the strap in your right hand and then let that right leg gradually start to open out to the side. Make sure you keep your feet or your foot slightly flexed as you open it out to the side and avoid lifting your left hip off the floor. So it may not open as far as you think it should, but honor where your body is right now. Don't ever force it. We always want to treat ourselves with kindness. And then bring the leg back up to center. This time as we exhale, we'll let the leg cross over. Again, it's going to be very subtle. It may cross over just an inch, if that, especially if your IT band is tight. So that right hip itself, right butt cheek is glued to the mat behind you. That's what I always tell my students so that they can remember. And then again, you can bring the leg back out to the right again. And then bring it back up to center. And then cross it over slightly. Back to center. Remember to keep the foot slightly flexed as you're doing that. That's going to make sure you don't go beyond your range of motion. And it's also going to give you a better stretch when you do that. So just do a couple more back and forth. Do one more to each side. Okay, next time your leg is back and the center, you can keep it there. And we're going to do some spirals with this leg. So just imagine now with that foot, you're going to start to draw a little circle on your ceiling. And each time you go around, your circle is going to get a little bit bigger around. And it's really up to you how big you want that circle to become. But when you kind of get to a point where you really don't want your circle to be any wider or it would be uncomfortable for you, switch the direction of that circle. Keep it big to start and then gradually start to make it a little smaller, beginning to work your way back to where you started from. And when you make your way all the way back to the start, you can pause and we will get ready to switch sides. So let's bring the opposite foot up into the strap. Find that placement for it. Right leg can come down. Then find a good grip first, letting the shoulders, the head and neck relax. If you ever find you're in this stretch and your whole upper body is lifted, you probably need to give yourself a little slack, letting your upper body relax. We don't want to compensate by tensing our upper body in order to stretch our lower body. So again, with this leg, you might just want to play around with the foot, pointing and flexing a little bit more. So just notice as you do that, that connection will come all the way back to the glute and the hip. So if the hip and glute are tight, you're going to feel it as you move the foot too. It's crazy how every part of our body is really intricately connected with other parts, even if we're not aware of it all the time. One part affects the rest. And then from here, we'll start to transition to the outer and inner hip stretch. So if you exhale, we'll allow that leg to open out towards the left side slightly, keeping that right hip down. Again, keep the foot flexed slightly, and then bring the leg back up and let it cross over just slightly to the other side. And then bring it back out to the left when you're ready. And then back up and slightly across. Okay, continue to do that back and forth. Do about 2 more to each side. Next time that your leg comes back across, you can return it to center, let it stay there, and we'll get ready to do our foot and leg spirals. We'll begin when you're ready, starting small, growing outwards each time around. When you get to that widest spot, you can go ahead and switch your direction, starting to work your way back to the middle, back to the start. And when you're back to the middle, you can pause. You may bend your knee, take the strap off the foot. We're done with it for today, so you can get it out of your way. And we're gonna roll over onto one side now for a little while. And if you need to, I would certainly recommend having some sort of support for under your head and neck. So if you want your blanket, you could. I will sometimes just kind of prop myself up like this with my head under my hand under my head. And it doesn't matter which side you start lying on. So whatever one you want to do first. We're going to start with the knees bent here. If it's uncomfortable on your hip here, if you're on a hard surface, also feel free to put some padding down. So we're going to be strengthening this area, the gluteus medius. When this part of the hip is weak or it's not as stable as it should be, it puts a lot of pressure on other parts of our glutes, like the glute max. And when that gets tight, it can cause problems. So we have to strengthen all the muscles so that they can all do their job and work together seamlessly. So this is a muscle that doesn't get as much work in a lot of things that I think it should. And it's one that gets weak as we get older, and that's what leads to a lot of balance and stability problems. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of work on it now. So feet will stay stacked. These are called clamshells. On your next inhale, you're gonna lift that top knee up to whatever height you can get it to go to. And as you exhale, you're gonna control the movement on the way back down. So this is called abduction and adduction. So we're strengthening really not only the outer hip here, but on the way back down, your inner thigh is helping you stabilize and you're strengthening that part of the body as well. So you're really getting two for the price of one. And who doesn't like a good deal? So take a couple more up and down. Very good. One more on this side. And next time the knees are together, I'll let you just have a moment to rest. If you're already feeling the burn, don't worry, you're not alone. I feel it too. Now we're going to stretch your legs out in front of you a little bit. You want to have them just angled in front of you so you don't have a tendency to roll back by accident. So we'll flex this top foot now, and we're going to do a side leg lift, still focused on building that strength. So inhale, begin to lift that top leg up. Again, it's not necessarily about how high you can go. I just want you to be mindful of the movement itself. So take your time on the way back down. I'll often see these movements done, but they're very rushed. They're so fast up and down. And not that anything's necessarily wrong with that, but you're not always aware. And sometimes slowing it down and really being patient with the movement can really be insightful to you. If we try to rush through things, sometimes we don't do them right. Okay, do a couple more up and down here. And one more. Okay, next time the leg comes down, give it a moment just to rest and be still. We do have one more movement we're going to do for this hip. So this is probably a little harder than the previous two, but I know you can do it. So you're going to flex the top foot and you're going to hover it over the bottom leg. And you're going to start to circle it around just like we were doing earlier. But this time you're kind of fighting against gravity a little bit, and that hip is really working hard to stabilize and move. And you can go ahead and switch the direction of that circle. Begin to go the opposite way with the leg. And a couple more, you've got this, don't give up. And exhale, relax that leg down. If it's tired, I suggest take the palm, take the base of the palm and just kind of tap into any tender area. Give it a little massage. That's going to help reduce soreness. It's bringing some extra blood flow to that area, just encouraging it to heal and restore. And after you've given it a good little tap, you can roll on over to your other side, and we're going to do all those movements again. Once you're settled on the other side, and just starting with our clamp, so the knees are stacked, feet and ankles are stacked. And here we go. Inhale, lifting that top knee up. Exhale, begin to bring it down. Good. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lower down. Good. Continue moving with your breath. Couple more times, almost done. Last one. And you can bring the knee back down for a moment, let it rest. When you're ready, you can let the legs angle out in front of you a little bit. We'll get ready for those side leg lifts. So flexing the top foot slightly. Inhale. Beginning to lift the leg up. And exhale, drawing it back down towards the other leg. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down. Very good. Keep moving with breath. A few more times. And last one. The next time that you bring that leg down, give it a rest. Breathe. And we'll do our spiral, our side circle on this side. So flexing the foot, lift the leg, and you may circle around when you're ready. A couple more on this direction. And then switch, go the other way. And when you're ready, exhale, let that leg come down, rest it. Maybe give it a little tap, little massage. Don't be afraid to do it. It might look silly, but it really helps, I promise. And once you're giving yourself a little tap, a little love, you can come onto your backs again, which will pretty much be there for the rest of practice. We're going to do about 15 more minutes of stretching, and then we'll do 15 more minutes of our meditation. So you can return to your back when you're ready. You can have your knees bent, your soles of your feet are back on the floor, just kind of like how we started. So the next stretch we're going to do is for your performance. This is called a figure 4. So you may pick your right foot up, cross your right ankle above your left knee, press your right knee away, and flex that right foot. You may already feel a bit of a stretch here. Maybe you want to stay Maybe you want to deepen by lifting the left foot as well, reaching underneath that left thigh, pulling the knee in a little closer. And try to relax your upper body, your head, your neck, and your shoulders. And we'll take about 5 deep breaths here. Again, we'll come back to that number count with the breath. Inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Okay, continue with that breath for a few more rounds. And take one more deep breath in. And deep breath out. You're ready, you may release the legs back down. Before you uncross the leg, we're actually going to do another stretch. So crossing your right thigh over your left thigh, we're going to move to stretch the IT band, the outer part of the hip again. So as you cross the thigh over, you may already feel that stretch come through the back of the hip, back of the thigh. But if you don't, and you want to go a little further, you could lift your feet, pulling your knees closer towards your chest, maybe reaching the hands around. You could even reach for the ankles or even the feet for the deepest stretch. But really whatever is accessible for you. And same thing, we'll hold for a few rounds of breath. Inhale for 4. And exhale for 8. Do a few more on your own. Next, exhale, you may release the legs down again. You may go ahead and uncross them at this time. Before we do the opposite side, do a few more of those windshield wipers back and forth. Okay, knees can come back up to center, and we'll get ready to do the left side. So let's take left foot up. Cross the ankle above the knee, press the knee out, flex that left foot. Maybe holding here. Maybe you want to pick up the right foot, reaching under the thigh, seeing how that feels. Then shoulders, head and neck are all relaxed. Letting yourself find the breath. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. Your next exhale, you may release the legs back down. And we won't uncross them yet because you're going to slide that left thigh over the right, hugging towards each other. Maybe staying there or perhaps pulling the knees closer in towards the chest to deepen. And holding, breathing, just relaxing. Next exhale, you may release the legs back down again, uncross them, windshield wiper them a couple more times. And we're going to get ready to move into some twists, which are also really lovely for the back and the spine. So knees back to center, arms can go ahead and stretch out like you're making a big T shape with your body. So palms will both start facing up. When you're ready, you may pull your knees back in towards your chest again. And our first twist, we're going to start with the legs are not going to touch. So as you exhale, you're going to let the knees start to come down towards the floor. But before they make it all the way down, you're going to engage. Bring the knees back to the middle again. So you exhale, you'll let them start to float down towards the opposite side. And inhale, engage, bringing them back up to center. And then continue, do that a few more times back and forth. One more time to each side. Next time your knees come back to the middle, just pause for a moment, rest. If you need to bring the feet down to the floor and relax, you can for a second. We're going to do another twist now. This one is a somatic twist, so you need to pay attention because the way your hands and your head is looking is going to matter as well. So on your next inhale, let's go ahead and pull the knees back in if you lower them down. As you exhale, knees will start to come down towards the right side. As they start to come down, you're going to turn your right hand to face down. Your head will turn the opposite way, so out over the left arm. Eyes can look to that side. And then when you're ready, inhale, let the knees come back up to center. Exhale, letting the knees begin to float down to the left side. Left hand will turn down. Head can turn to the right, right palm will turn back up. And I'll do it with you one more time. So inhale, come back up. Exhale, letting the knees come down towards the right side again. Right palm turns down. Head turns to the left. Left hand is facing up. Go ahead and do a few more of those back and forth at your own pace. Just remember, whatever side the knees are down on, the hand is down on, the head is always opposite. Next time the knees are down on the left side, bring them back to center again. Maybe you want to reach up with your arms and just kind of massage the lower back, just kind of bringing the knees around in some circles. But from here, we're going to get ready to move into a happy baby. Nice hip opener. So you can start by just holding onto the backs of the thighs, keeping the knees closer towards the chest, allowing the lower legs to start to extend up slightly. Depending on your flexibility, you could open the knees out a little wider towards the sides. Maybe you even want to reach up for the ankles. The arches are the big toes, or even the outside edges of the feet. You can rock a little bit back and forth here, just feeling that nice opening. Of course, the more you straighten the knees here, the deeper the stretch is going to feel. Just wherever you are, honor that. Breathe into the stretch. After you've had a little while here and you feel that you've had enough time to stretch, then bring the soles of your feet together and just start to release your legs back down to the floor, allowing the knees to open, one to either side, coming into bound angle. You could bring a hand back to belly and chest while you're here. And we're going to come back to those same deep breaths. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. And continue with that breath for a few more moments. Next inhale, you may start to bring the knees back up towards each other. At this time, if there are any other quick stretches you want to take that we didn't get to today, I'll give you just 30 seconds to a minute to do so. And if you don't have anything you want to do, you can go ahead and start getting yourself ready for your meditation. So you might want to cover up with a blanket. You might want to put your socks on. Just make sure you're going to feel warm and comfortable for the remainder of practice. So while y'all are doing that, I'll get my own self set up. Just letting yourself start to get settled in and comfortable for the next 15 minutes or so. And you can close your eyes if you'd like to. Just letting your awareness begin to turn inward to your own body, your own breath, your own experience here now. I'm going to go through a traditional body scan practice. We won't do the tense and release. We'll just do the mindful and loving awareness of each body part. And then we'll also finish up with a guided chakra balancing visualization. So for our body scan, first of all, just encouraging your body to relax into the support that is surrounding you. Just feeling that support, knowing you're in a safe space to just relax and be still. And we'll begin our body scan now. Each time I name an area, just bring your loving awareness to that place and then move it on to the next area. Just begin to notice the very crown of the head. Notice the forehead and the temples. Notice the eyes and the eyelids. Notice the nose and the cheeks. Notice the tongue and lips. Notice the ears, the jaw, and the neck. Notice the shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Notice the chest and belly. Noticing the upper and lower back. Noticing hips, glutes and thighs. Notice knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes. Just letting your awareness encompass your whole entire body from head to toe. Just resting in that loving awareness. Allow your awareness to be drawn to the movement of breath that is within your body. That life force energy lives in our breath. As long as we are breathing, we are living. And what a gift it is just to be alive. So just feel that life that lives within you. Always a reminder of the present moment. Sometimes our mind plays tricks on us. It makes the unimportant important. There's nothing you need to worry or think about right now. All you need to do is be here, experience, rest, breathe. That's all. So as you're resting in this awareness, we'll begin to move through our chakra balancing practice. If anyone here is not familiar with the chakras, I'll give you a little brief explanation as we go. So in yoga, we believe there are some different energy centers that are in your body. And the first one we'll think about today is your root chakra. So I'll ask you to bring your attention to the very base of your spine, right at your tailbone. And the color for the root chakra is red. So I'll invite you to visualize a red light that's just gently washing over your body. And allow that red light to help you feel safe and secure. Continuing to let that red light wash over you a little longer, just resting in that sense of safety and security. When you're ready, we'll now move our attention up to what we call the sacral chakra. So bringing your attention right below your belly button. In women, this is tied to our womb, to that center where life can actually be created, which is really just so amazing. So the color is orange for this chakra. So letting an orange light start to wash over you like the sun setting. Letting yourself feel connected to your own inner creativity and sensuality. And now we will bring our attention up a little further. So next up, you can bring your attention to the space above your belly button, but below your rib cage. And we call this your solar plexus chakra. And you can think of it like your internal sunshine. And the color for it is yellow. So begin to invite a yellow light, like the sun at midday when it's brightest in the sky, to wash over you. Letting yourself feel warm. This will connect you to your sense of purpose in the world. to your sense of belonging, knowing that each of us has a unique purpose for why we are here, for why we were born. Now, I'll ask you to bring your attention up a little further to the center of your chest. This one is really important. This is your heart chakra. And the color for the heart chakra is green. So you can invite a green light to wash over you. And this will connect you to love. Love for yourself and others. And also forgiveness. Forgiveness to yourself and others. Compassion for all. When we allow ourselves to be open to give and receive love, miracles can really happen. Well, now I'll ask you to bring your attention up a little further to the very base of your throat, the bottom of your neck. This is your throat chakra. And the color for this space is blue, like the sky on a summer day. And your throat chakra is connected to being able to speak your truth, but also being able to really listen and hold space for others and their truth. Just letting that blue light continue to wash over you, knowing that whatever words you speak hold truth. And let whatever words you hear, whether they are true or not, for you to be able to see past any deception to the truth that lies in it all. And now I'll ask you to bring your attention up a little further now to the space between your eyes, right between your eyebrows. We call this your third eye chakra. And the color for this space is indigo. So washing over yourself with that indigo light now. This chakra will connect you to your inner wisdom and intuition. Knowing that within you, there is much knowledge that you've learned over this lifetime. And we have to learn to trust ourselves and trust our intuition. Now, finally, you can bring your awareness up to the very, very top of your head, what we call your crown chakra. And the color for this space is violet. So just inviting a violet light to wash over you. And this chakra will connect you with connection itself, with remembering that we are not separate from the whole. We are all different puzzle pieces, and we each are needed and necessary. We can't continue to see ourselves as separate from one another or from the earth itself. We must all work together to bring harmony and peace, inside and outside. Now just imagine that you are surrounded in a golden light that is protecting you, allowing you to feel shielded and guarded so that only good things can come your way. and that everyone who sees or interacts with you is touched by that light. And their day is made a little bit better because of you. Just take another minute or so here just to breathe, to feel that light as it warms you. If you feel called to start bringing any little movements back into your body, of course, you're welcome to do that. But if you'd rather just stay still and rest, that's okay too. If you're still on your back and you want to roll over onto a side, you could do that. Please, there's never any hurry. You can take your time. If you want to stay lying down, you can. But for anyone who wants to come back up and close out the practice together, you can come back to a seat when you're ready, and we'll close out. As if you're coming back up to your seat, I'll ask you just to join the hands together in front of the heart space again. Let's finish off with one more deep breath in. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 8. Thank you all so much for joining me this morning.